This is the first opportunity that I have had to thank you publicly for singing to me on my significant birthday, which took place in February. I was trying to play it down a bit, trying to keep it under cover, because I now know that I'm old enough to be old. But thank you for singing to me. During my birthday celebrations that weekend, my lovely family took me to London. And we were walking along the bank of the River Thames, and we saw a man, two men actually, with typewriters. Remember what they were? Here we are, look, here they are with their typewriters. And they approached me and asked me if I would like to have a poem written for me on my birthday. Now, in my naivety, I thought that this had all been set up and that they were there to write this poem for me. But I soon discovered that they were there to earn a crust. And actually, Claire had to pay them a £5 for their efforts. But nevertheless, that poem added meaning and a little bit of boost to my birthday. Because poetry does that, doesn't it? Poetry just adds a little bit of meaning to life and gives us a boost when we read it or hear it. The book of Psalms is absolutely full of poetry that does that, gives God a boost, adds meaning to our thinking about God. And Psalm 8 is no exception to that. And just for a few minutes, I want us just to underline one or two things in this wonderful poem which points to an amazing God. The first 4 verses speak about the amazing love of God in creation. The fact that God gave us this wonderful world in which to live. What amazing love for us. And you know, this past week we've been thinking particularly about the anniversary of the end of World War II. And we have just been thinking about war generally. Do you know that in the world today there are more than 50 countries not engaged in some kind of warfare? And yet, through it all, the birds still sing, the fish still swim in the sea, the sky is blue, the stars are there. You see, God has given us, in spite of everything, this amazing love of his has given us this wonderful world in which we live. And then verse 4 speaks about his amazing love for us, his care for us, his care for his people. And we, with hindsight, know that that has been given to us, especially through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ and through the gift of his Holy Spirit. And again, this week, I've heard some wonderful stories from the veterans about how God has faithfully kept his promises and been there for us. And I can look back now and see how over the past years of my life, the amazing love and care for God has meant that he's kept his promises for me. And finally, the last verses of this psalm speaks to us about the amazing faith that God has in his people to care for this world. Even though we mess it up, God has given faith in us to care for this world. All these subjects have been adequately covered through the last weeks as we've been here in our meetings. This morning, all we really want to do as a Songster Brigade, and all that the psalmist wanted to do, was to point us afresh to this amazing God, this amazing God. Now, beware, because we live in a world of, as far as our language is concerned, of hyperbole, excessive exaggeration. And when it comes to the ordinary things of life, we do tend to exaggerate a bit. For example, the word tragic and disaster are just bounded about in everyday life, instead of being reserved for something that really is sad. And you know, I think of the word star. I opened the door for somebody in the shop the other day, and she said to me, "You're a star." Now, I wish that that word could be reserved for people who fully deserve it. And it's the same with the word amazing. If we're not careful, we use it in everyday life so that it loses something of its worth. Let me just illustrate this very quickly. We went to see our Richard, our son, recently, and the dog, Rosie, jumped over Neve's legs. Now look at this video. It's only 5 seconds, so if you breathe or blink, it'll be gone. Watch it. It's coming. Now, Neve was heard to say to Rosie, "Rosie, you're amazing." Impressive, maybe. Quite clever, even for a dog, but not amazing. And thank you, Richard, for saying that this morning when you said, this is amazing. Well, maybe not amazing, but quite impressive, because the word amazing means something that prompts wonder or astonishment, something or somebody that prompts wonder or astonishment, something or somebody that is astounding, excellent. So when you think of an amazing God, you think of someone who is astounding, who fills us with astonishment and wonder and worship, and who is excellent. So that's it. Psalm 8 this morning. We as a Songster Brigade, and it comes through so clearly through this meeting, have tried to point us to an amazing God. May we this week take time to really worship that amazing God. And I have a suggestion to make. The songsters sang that lovely song which said, "Amazing God, you are everything to me." Make that your mantra this week. Every day, take a moment to say to God, "Amazing God, you are everything to me." And then life itself and the way you live your life will fall into place. May God bless you.